it. But if your team is yelling, pro tip: if your team is yelling at you as an omen to come join the team fight, just ignore them. They don't know what they're talking about. Just stay in your lane. The only time you're gonna be leaving is if you get a single pick onto someone, because usually you're not gonna be helping too much in team, unless you really need a 5v5, and then you kind of are the sacrificial lamb. You go to the back line, use Death's Embrace, and then hope you trade out 1-for-1.
Very true. And look at this. Team's already going. And finally, we see Elsu and Richter both being banned out with the Lindis, Ignis, and Mr. Groot himself.
They were watching the exhibition. They're like,
yeah.
seems like a good hero.
Yep. Seems like a solid ban for sure. So just waiting on the last ban. And looks like maybe a Xennial.
I'm going for the Mina. They listened to my analysis earlier.
Yep.
Don't want to deal with that Mina.
Mina is very strong.
So yeah, it looks like we have just a full slate. I'm just not really sure what they're going to be picking up here. They're gonna first pick Aram. You weren't lying.
Yeah, Aram, I gotta say, is got to be one of NA's like top picks and bans. I mean, right up there with as far as in the semi-competitive, diamond up for sure type of players. Kriknak being picked up, which is always great to watch. But Talana's on the same side. How do you feel about those two on the same team?
Tel seems like a very much like the anti-Aram pick here for ATF. The Crick is very interesting because early game, what you can do with Crick, you can kill literally any tank in the game. So they might be trying to leverage that and snowball into an early lead by just picking off an Aram who just thinks he's immortal, but not immortal to that burst damage from Crick. So that's what they might be going for. The issue is late game, he can easily be caught because if you don't know, there's this ability called Snare, and Crick can't really move around when he gets caught by that. So it's kind of living on the edge pick here for Kriknak. It can be good early, but then you need to be playing it perfectly later.
Very true. And it looks like Crash, Liliana, Scud, and Slims is going to be the full team for this blue side. Pretty solid team, I gotta say. Like, the Scud is not a bad hero, but definitely the odd man out of the group, as far as like team comp is considered. Maybe even the Aram at this point. But I'm not. Yeah, there's something that doesn't mesh well with that blue team for me.
I feel like a lot of these picks are comfort picks. In my
Could
opinion.
be. Yeah, that's actually probably very accurate.
Because neither team I feel like has very good synergy. That I don't see really a theme on either side. It's very much just.
That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. It's not a common team. I do like the Arduin with the Jannar, but then you have Marja, which is going to be a great lane hero and will be good towards that mid game. But I guess she's going to be going against the Scud. Maybe that was where she thought that she needed to pick that just for that lane, just to win the lane, but it doesn't really synergize.
Was the Jinnar pick just to take it away from blue? To take it away from INF? Because they were scared of the crushed Jinnar combo? I think that might have been it.
That could be. But Liliana was picked second on the blue side.
Right. So before Liliana was picked, they wanted to take away the Jinnar.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So it's really interesting because both teams have pretty good engage with the Scud Crush going in, and Liliana kind of being that backup. She can also dive as well. Whereas on the side of ATF, they have the Kriknak Jinnar engage with Arduin being that front line and Marja being able to be a similar role to Liliana fight where she can dive if need be. And then just on both sides, we have Tel and Slims just raining down damage from the backside. So they both have kind of like a split comp. It's like indirectly protect your backline by just making them look at other heroes, right? You're engaging them with your other heroes, and they have no time to pay attention. And then when they look up from all the havoc that's been created, it's like, oh crap, I was taking the most damage from their backline, which I couldn't pay attention to.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as just team comp alone, how do you feel about either team? Which team do you think has the advantage at this point?
It's hard to tell. My initial thought is ATF, but I think the counter engage with the Crest, I think that the Crest and the Arum are extremely important here. If you're able to shut down the Crick, then they're going to win. And on the other side, the Crick needs to really play around that. It's kind of like a battle between the Arum slash Crest and the Crick on the other side. And whoever wins that battle, then I feel like it's going to win the game. But we have an early invade here
Yes, we
coming in
do.
from iNF 4 members.
And kind of a misplay there. Slims actually threw a spear pretty early just to hit the blue buff before seeing that all the members of ATF were actually around that blue buff. And I gotta say, the Scud didn't go to kind of guard his their blue buff or even start it or anything like that. So I think that's kind of a misplay on this side. But the red team does get it, luckily, and you can see Crickneck. This is what I'm talking about. Bolting straight over to the blue, and this is what I was worried about seeing. And now finally Scud is coming down, now seeing that the gig is up. Hopefully they will be able to pick this up, but the Crickneck does pick it up as well.
Yeah, he was able to steal that out in the last moment. They didn't have vision of it, speaking of INF, but they do take out Crickneck. So I would say a successful defense here from INF in order to deny that early advantage from ATF.
Yeah, so a little bit, getting a little greedy on this red side, and
I like the idea, but I think they needed to go as a team, right?
I think
It's
so
like
as well.
they knew that they had their buff before Slims had his, so they saw an opportunity, but unfortunately, it was only Crickneck in there.
And it was very interesting. I don't know if they had the sight that they saw Slims go towards the red, but they had to have, because you saw Crickneck just completely sprinting over there. With no cares at all, knowing that Scud was up all the way at top. And look at Crickneck being very, very quiet in the bush, throwing out as much damage as he can, but Scud, he wastes his jump before Scud was able to throw out his fist.
That does give him pretty low, which means that Marja will have that advantage in the top lane. That said, the Abyssal's coming up right now, so both teams will be looking to take that. Komodo needs to go take his seat, the Sage Golem first up before anything can happen, because he's very low on that mana. So both sides just kind of taking it slow and making sure that they get their own buffs. See Arm in the vicinity, just making sure that's not being started, and perhaps leashing it so that nothing happens here. Just buying time for their respective junglers.
Yeah, I do like the arm play. Supports just giving vision is, I mean, I would say over half their job, and it's so important to see. And Crickneck jumping in onto Liliana, wasn't able to put out the damage that he wants, and jumps out of there.
Yeah, he completely missed on the drone drop there, so unfortunate for him. I was unable to get that damage in, but it's fine because that ult about 10 seconds to get right back to it and try again another day.
Yeah, especially with that blue buff that he did get picked up. He is full life, full mana. And he also didn't get really punished for jumping in and out like that. Scud very much wants to go for this kill, and sure enough, he throws his power glove, but knows 3 of the heroes are near him because he was in that bush for so long. Ends up backing out. I gotta say, it's almost 4 minutes and we haven't seen a dragon.
Yeah, they're doing a good job of pushing neither team off of it. I'd like that neither team is trying to force it. They're only going to take it when they feel it's a good time to do so, which they looks like INF has decided that now is that time. I'm going to go pick up that buff. And meanwhile, Crickneck's not... He's just off on the other side of the map trying to get a pick on Scud, but Scud, he knows what's up. He's hanging behind his tower. He's like, well, I don't see Crickneck. I don't see buffs on their side. This is the only place he could be. And let's see if they can pick the kill. Anyway, no, he goes in. He's going to pop his ult. Pops the ult. Here comes the engage here.
Oh my god, and he lives!
The minion shot almost took him out. That was so close.
Wow.
I think... and full health bars nearly for both Crickneck and Marja. I think if they really committed hard to that, they could have killed him.
Yeah. Another big issue is that Crickneck did miss his skill again because of the power glove that he I don't know the ability's name, unfortunately, but the ult, it caused Crickneck to miss one of his abilities, or he would have had that dead to rights.
The ult for the Wild Beast Fury? You mean for Scud?
Yes.
Or drone drop?
No,
sorry.
Scud.
Ninja goes in with the Exuberance. I'm not sure what he was looking for there. The only person in his vicinity was when you don't... Because in general, you don't want to be ulting on supports. There's just too much damage. Speaking of damage, Tell comes in with that damage on the arm, using that as build against her. In comes the ult. The ult comes onto Komodo as well. Can he get out of it? He gets out in time. Meanwhile, the arm goes down. The Metamorphosis is popped here from the Crash. Kroba gets extremely low, so he gets it back on out of here. Flicker from the Marsha to get out of dodge. And that was a very successful engage there from Team ATF. Got everyone out of there in time. Only took damage on the Crickneck in the end. And the Marja as well. And they're able to get back the gold situation. Now it's a tie game in that regard.
Yeah, I think Aram did make a bit of a misplay, overextended early on, which really set her team up to fail. And she was the only one that ended up dying in that situation. I think that she really needed to be careful, but the damage that was in that bush, I don't think she was ready for, and didn't have sight. Oh, the flicker right there, trying to go for that Crickneck, and just comes up empty-handed.
Yeah, and unable to pick that up. Here comes Arduin to pick up the slack so that he won't die.
I think I would like to see Lust do is actually dive on one of the towers for some of these heroes. It was in an ideal situation there with Crickneck at what, a quarter of life, maybe even less, and could have dove in, ulted him, have the tower hit him, and could have picked that kill up.
A little bit of disjointed play here coming out from ATF as they had two members on the Abyssal Dragon. Jenner actually used his ult to try to take it down, but they only got it to half health before INF realized what was happening and started moving over. So a lot of wasted time here from ATF, and they're going to have to regroup. They still are holding on to a slight gold lead. Maybe it's about tied right now, but
here we go.
Coming in, that is this snare onto Crickneck, able to nearly take him out, but so low is Aram. The Exuberance not enough to take them out. Both sides are going to lick their wounds and walk away.
I gotta say, so the blue team really didn't follow up with Aram's ult. They need to be a little bit quicker, and I think that would have worked out really well for them. Scud throwing out his ult, trying to get out of this situation, but he has got to be dead to rights. But Liliana comes in and scares off the enemy team, saving Scud again. How low can he get? At what point does this red team finally get this kill? Aram actually trying to defend this blue buff, goes in, tries to scare off Crickneck and Arduin, and now you can see Liliana setting up, getting ready for something to happen. Crickneck jumping in, trying to throw out as much damage as possible, but Aram is there, so no dive for this team.
Yeah, in the meantime, since Scud had to go back, Marja took the opportunity in order to kill the top tower. But I gotta say, a lot of improper focus on these teams. They're not really finishing off their targets. But after all of that, we do have 1,000 gold lead here for ATF. Perhaps they can turn this into something.
Yeah, this one dragon is really keeping this this blue team, as far as the gold situation, kind of in this game. But Liliana in bit of a predicament here, and Aram able to ult the Crickneck, which is exactly what he wants. But look at this, the focus is just not there. Liliana trying to throw out as much as possible, and look at this, they might be able to turn this around.
Now they go in, nice knock up here from the Arduin. Crickneck getting extremely low. Can Scud come in and pick up the kill? Oh wow, Crickneck is playing with fire, and he's going to get punished for it. Good night, Crickneck. He's going to be out of there. Arduin's extremely low as well. Just ATF, they need to be with the team. When Crickneck is staying in there, they need to have the reinforcement so he can take the buff and get on out of there. He was trying to get greedy. The greed would have worked out, but his team needed to be there on the same page. Just time and again, the two things I see are people are not playing with Crickneck and people are not playing with Aram.
Yes.
Zero follow-up, and oh my goodness, maybe they stink. Maybe they just they didn't shower today. I don't know what's going on.
So yes, absolutely. So Crickneck was over here at the red buff, and you could see that Talanis and Kresh were all the way over at this bush by the time that he got engaged, and there was just no chance they were going to get there. And also Crickneck did miss his escape, but it was not. Even if he would have landed it, he would have inevitably died with the damage that was coming out.
Strange essence of the win here, coming out from Arduin, trying to help out Jinnar, but didn't really need it. By the way, I'm very interested with this Arduin play on the supports. You don't really see Arduin on support very often, but he's making it work for the most part. Getting in there, getting those knockups when necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. So someone that we haven't seen much of is Marja. And if you look, Marja does have the most gold in this game currently. She's been up top, just having a. Oh, and we do have an. No, you're fine. We do have an initiation. I actually didn't see it going on, and that was Arduin going down just as we were talking about him doing so well. Scud actually knocking them out of the way of the spear. Marja coming down, is trying to chase down the Scud, but he's gonna have to dive pretty deep for that. Ends up turning tail and running away, trying to get with the team. I gotta say, this is crazy.
We saw there,
only one dragon.
We finally saw a follow-up on Arm's snare. We got a snare, and the teammates were there, and they did the damage, and they got the kill.
Oh, is that what happened? So nice.
We finally had some follow-up here.
I was checking down on bottom, or the dragon, when all that went on. So good to hear. So maybe the blue team's listening in on our conversation, but that is good. Arduin overextending pretty heavily, but look at Arum actually going for the Talanis, which is the right choice out of the two, but just doesn't have any backup. Really needed to maybe play a little safe, or maybe save the ult. That ult does have a longer cooldown than you probably want it to, so she's gonna have to. This red team does know that going into this next team fight.
Yeah, there needs to be better shot calling when Arm goes in, gets those snares. That was a really nice snare, except follow up. Nice Blinding Light, Shining Light combo onto Jinnar. He's going to be very low, and he's one of the more important members on the side of ATF in that engage. Looks like we have a bit of a push onto this Abyssal Dragon. Actually, 3 members on both sides as Liliana goes back to the mid lane. Crick tried to push onto the Scud. They didn't really get a whole lot there. So looks like INF have the positioning here. Trying to take down this Abyssal Dragon. Taking a while, though.
Arum did such a great job trying to zone this red team, but the red team just wasn't able to. And the spear almost landing onto Crick. But, oh my gosh, there was so much stuff that was happening there. So Arum was trying to zone the entire red team, but Cricknack and Marja coming down from that top lane really flanked the entire blue team. And look at this. Liliana taking massive damage from this Talanis.
Oh, great metamorphosis. Can he get out of here? He will get out in the end. Well, Scud is taking the top tower, so as long, if you even trade evenly, this, and they get the kill. There's the follow-up on that snare. This is a huge win for INF. They get the tower, and they win a 4v5.
Yeah, that was a huge, great snare onto the onto the Arduin, which was able to finish him off. So the support of the team, not a big deal, but does end up getting a kill nonetheless, and a tower. At this point, like, it's time to take some objectives.
4v1 in kills. 1 Abyssal Dragon to 0. And the gold is, they're down in gold. Yeah. So, looks like ATF has just been on the wave clear, on making sure that they get that experience, because they are somehow in a lead in gold, despite being down 3 kills and an Abyssal.
Yeah, the biggest, when it comes down to, is Marja. Look at that, 8.3k. I mean, such a good lead. Ooh, Liliana landing a great stun on 3 of the members of ATF.
Yeah, she already has both Boomstick and Hecate's diadem, so she's going to be laying down the damage from now on. I want to see her get some Pierce right now, maybe go into a Spoopy's Mask, and then from there she'll be really banging it down.
And you can see she has no care in the world. The team's just not reacting to her. They're too busy with the rest of this, and this could be their downfall. Honestly, if they do not watch Marja or handle her in some way, this blue team is definitely going to struggle.
Actually, one thing that's interesting, last thing, is that the Tell, she's building full crit, which makes sense because, if you guys don't know, her Eagle Eye allows her to crit magical damage. But look at Arum, 0 magic defense other than the Gilded Greaves. So she's going to be ripped to shreds by Tell if they ever get into a proper team fight.
Wow. Yeah, that is really good to know.
Oh, but the flicker in tries to get the snare. She's gonna go for the snare onto Arduin. As he goes back, he backs up, but still takes the damage. But Arm will go down. Jinnar gets in there, but has to flicker out. Looks like, oh, Scud misses the power glove onto the Cricknack. Cricknack jumps into his death, just takes a Shining Light to the face as he tries to jump back in again. Looks like the Ardo is extremely low, but he's engaging nonetheless. Tall Honest is way deep on their side, trying to take out this Liliana. Will be able to pick it off. Yes, she does get that final attack in onto her. And at the end of the day, it is a 4-for-1 for ATF.
So That is the team fight that they needed this entire time, and it's all down to this Talanis. Talanis is just ripping apart. They weren't able to take out the Cricknack right away like they wanted to. They weren't able to use that extra time to focus the Talanis, and Talanis is just going through and ripping apart towers at this point. Look at that. Fresh just in there, just taking arrows to the face and paying the price, but was able to at least back them off of the core. But that is a high ground tower for this red team.
Yeah, very good objective conversion here for ATF. After they get that kill, they go in and make sure they get the high. Couldn't be super minions pushing in on the entire time. Ninja pops Exuberance, thought he might get snared. Unfortunately, you can't pop Exuberance after you get snared, so wanted to make sure to get that resistance if indeed it came out, but that's going to be on cooldown for just a little bit longer. It's actually a pretty short cooldown, especially if you get that CDR into his kit, which he has only 10%, but good enough.
So the thing that important note is that Aram is trying to set up as many plays as possible, but is just a little out of position of the rest of her teammates. You can see that she's trying to set up what she can, and she's doing a great job, but the blue team just isn't either. There's a miscommunication there, just like we were saying earlier with it, with the Cricknack and the Aram. You can still see that Aram is trying to set up as many plays as possible, but may need to start using that snare in more of a defensive manner as opposed to initiating.
Well, I think it's fine, but you know what I want to see is I want to see the snare into an immediate metamorphosis, push the rest of the team back, and then you have the member who snared cannot be CC'd back, right? So all of a sudden you have a 5v1, blow that guy up, and then now you have a 5v4 in your hands.
Yeah, that's a great point. Absolutely. Scud very much about to run straight into a big issue. Will he get out of this? He does! Are you kidding me?
Wow.
How many times can Scud live in this game? He's only died once, but I feel like he has died so many times, or at least come so close to it.
He is the most fed on his team, that is for sure. So he does have both the offense and the defense in his build. He's able to build all of that, has the Medallion of Troy as well as that Mantle of Ra. So able to get out there with the Wild Beast Fury. They're going to go ahead and, speaking of ATF, take some of these buffs away. In comes Arm. Is she going to get off a snare? She does get it, but only onto the Marja and unable to take her out. So looks like A and F, they're getting separated from one another, excuse me. And ATF is taking advantage for sure, pushing onto this high ground tower.
Slims was completely out of position there, and you could see Scud as well. Scud and Cricknack were both down on bottom. We're just nowhere near the fight. Where they should have seen this all coming because of what happened to Aram, but chose to finish clearing the wave with both of them down on bottom. It was just a no-brainer for this red team to push this high ground tower. This Slims was under half life with the high ground tower up, and they just dove him with no issues, really.
Well, Scott did eventually get the kill onto Komodo. Komodo staying a little bit too long, even though maybe he overestimated the Dark Blessing buff, because he did have that, pseudo revive. Unfortunately, right after that came out, he died straight afterwards. So, about a 3,000 gold lead here for ETF. They do have two members completely full in the Tell and the Marja, so I'm actually sure. Okay, Tell does switch out, does get the Blade of Eternity on her hand. She has lots of attack speed and lots of crits on her side. I'm trying to take out Lust here.
Aram very much out of position. Again, that's now 2 times in a row that's happened, where Aram is trying to think that they're more tanky than this red team can deal with, and it just falls on her face. We need to see Aram playing a little bit more defensive and see. Ooh, actually, wow. Komodo just gets deleted, thinking that blue buff was his.
This is the theme of the game, isn't it? It's Aram overextending and Cricknack overextending, and their team either needs to be with them or they need to be with their team. One of the two.
It really is. You can definitely tell that both of them think that they are much stronger than the entire other team, and they are playing very aggressive. I gotta say, very, very aggressive.
Aggression isn't bad. You just need to make sure your team is there with you when you're being that aggressive, or need to have good vision on the map and know that you're going to get away with what you're doing.
So here's a perfect.
By the way, this is it's one of the reasons why Arum can be a little bit. This is one of her weaknesses. Is she doesn't have any escape. So if she gets caught out like that by herself, she can't really get away. Whereas other supports possibly could.
Perfect example. So ATF very much all by themselves. They see that Talanis is bottom. They see that Marja is top. Perfect opportunity to ult one of these two heroes. You have 4 heroes in mid. You know that 2 of them aren't here for the red team, and they don't ult or initiate. And I think that's such a misplay. I think Arum's definitely starting to play a little bit more back and after the last two kills on her, but that was a great opportunity there.
Yeah, I think she needs to still play aggressive. It's just I feel like it's on her team to be with her. So playing more passive because she's been dying, I think it's a bit of a mistake. She needs to continue to play the same way. It's just that she needs to make sure her team's with her.
And here we go. It looks like this is probably going to be one of the final battles if played correctly for the ATF. We got a full initiation. Scud going in, getting completely deleted. Crickneck throwing out his ult, but just wasn't able to save his teammates. And
Slims goes down. Wow. But what is Crickneck doing? There's no minions there, buddy. There's nothing there. Oh my goodness. They're trying to take down this tower, but there is just damage raining down here from Liliana. It makes it very, very difficult. I'm not sure why they're doing this without the Dark Slayer buff. I think they should just go for that and use their gold advantage for that rather than trying to force themselves down this tower. Valor must be AFK. Okay, it looks like he's back. Because he was just standing still, letting himself get hit. Tell is extremely low. She does have Blade of Eternity, so she can die at once, but in comes Scud trying to help out his team. He does spawn faster than the Crickneck coming back here, so they're going to have a 5v4 for a moment. And I got to say, that was ill-advised. Trying to 5v5, force your way down into the tower is a way to throw the game.
Yes. So they definitely gave INF a lot of money there. Look at that. I mean, that's what, within 3k gold right now. They do have the numbers to do an objective. Well, now with Crickneck being spawned, maybe not, but they are now looking not as well. That really put blue back in the game. I thought that was going to be the end of the game at that point. But yeah, to your point, they should have went for an objective, got that extra damage buff, or the Dark Blessing, and been able to go from there. Yeah, or the Drake. Yeah, absolutely. And now that's exactly what they're doing. Right as we mentioned it, you can see that they are just ripping this apart, and the blue team just doesn't have eyes on it. Crickneck is going to be the one that's going to pick up that Dark Blessing, and Crickneck jumping in, trying to delete the Slims, but Arum did a great job. And again, that's what I'm talking about, playing it passive, and that's what he needs to do. They finally got the Slims because of the Arduin jumping in with the Crickneck, and Crickneck is still up and ripping this team to shreds.
Oh my goodness, he's still in there. Now he's going to be jumping onto the Scud. Can he kill him before he dies? Yes, he does, but here's a Liliana gets him back. So too does the Crush get that damage. This Crickneck has no regard for his own life, just jumping into multiple team members. At the end of the day, it's a 3-for-3. And we're coming to the point where both teams have basically the same amount of gold, because the 4k difference in this case doesn't matter, as both teams are finishing up their builds.
Yeah, it's very true. So Marja, who has been part of some of the kills, but has not been a big factor as far as the last couple, is
I don't know why she's split pushing though, because she's not going to kill the core.
I agree. I completely agree. She was hoping that maybe the red team would have finished that off and she could have maybe ended the game a little sooner. I'm really not sure. Not being in that team fight was, I would say, definitely a mistake.
Yeah, even if she comes late, she could have done so much toward the end there, and maybe had, at the end of the day, a 2v0 on their hands if they just finish off those kills. And again, Marja, I can understand putting pressure on, but I can understand having the wave push out, I should say. But Marja's not going to kill the core by herself. She's a mage, right? The reason why she is good is because she can hold her own against any other member in lane, but her weakness is that she doesn't kill towers.
Yep. Absolutely true. Having that tankiness does come at a cost, and that is definitely down to the attack. And it looks like they're starting to set up, but Crickneck is not there, and Scud is looking for any opportunity to get to that Talanis. And look at this. You can see that he's so close. He does get spotted by that Marja, and is just starting to back up a little bit.
Ninja took a big shot to the face, and now he's about half health. Trying to bring that back up with that Ray's Blessing, so he's near full health at this time.
So I would say kind of a misplay right here, depending on how Red plays this. But Scud did show that he was all the way up top, which is either a big sign for them to rotate up to top or for them to initiate on the enemy team.
Yeah, it looks like they were able to do neither here. Marsh is going to have to pick up the slack and take care of the top lane. Oh, Aram is just sneaking around the backside. Tell took a lot of damage. I didn't see what happened. Maybe it was a Liliana shot, but
and
my God, it's there on this. The Ninja, please use your Metamorphosis. Why? No Metamorphosis comes out. They should have pushed the other team back, and that is a missed kill on Jinnar.
Really was trying to save it, wondering where I guess the Talanis was or something along those lines. Kresh could have thrown out the ult, and that would have been huge. Been so huge.
I don't know. I think he's saving it to be defensive so he can save his backline, but that was a guaranteed kill if you just push away the other members and there's nothing holding you back from killing Jinnar.
Yeah, it was easily, especially that they knew that the Talanis did take so much damage and had to have known that she was not in any kind of state to fight. Little did they know she was all the way back at base.
Darkslayer is going down. INF none the wiser, and that is a big mistake. They should have kept tabs on that, especially when they're basically even in gold.
Yeah.
Scud just hiding out somewhere, doing something, but yeah, he's kind of in the vicinity of Tell. Perhaps he can maybe get a pick onto her. He's still here. They don't know. They don't know. Tell. Oh, whew. She actually moved back toward her team.
Oh, and Scud gets completely checked. And a great flicker actually gets out of a bad situation, but a wasted opportunity here into this next team fight. And this is gotta be the last team fight coming up. There's no way that this goes on any further. Aram playing very aggressive, and this is what we're talking about. She's very much way out there, needs to play a little farther back. Arduin doing a good job landing a stun on the Scud, but still no initiations. You can see both teams being very careful, knowing that any time the next fight could be the last one.
I feel like they need to be more aggressive. Speaking of ATF, they need to take down this bottom tower. If they kill the bottom tower, the game basically there. It's extremely difficult to deal with 5 super minions pushing down the entire time. So I think they need to be pushing down on this. They think they need to get rid of the Drake. Scud gets extremely low. This is their opportunity. Are they going to push onto the tower? Yes, they do. They push the Drake out now of all time. Scud does go down. I think it's Lady Train. He's going to be coming back up here, trying to get into this team by pushing back in. He goes down, but not before doing a ton of damage. Tell has to get back out of there. There's a lot of members. And look, Marja is on the core. She's trying to kill it. She's trying to prove me wrong. It's like, I can kill the core. Just watch me. Unfortunately, she's not able to get it in the end. They do take out the Superman. That was mighty close.
She definitely did her best. But again, if she was around her team, she would have been able to easily finish off this game. Again, and I think that it really goes to show that she just needs to be with her team. The split pushing at this point in the game just, I mean, if it was any other hero, it would be working out super successfully. But Marja's just not the greatest at the split pushing. They are going for the enraged Abyssal Dragon, trying to go for that Dark Blessing, and easily going to be able to pick this off because the blue team now has to mess with these super minions into mid. It is not looking good for this blue team.
Yeah, and blue, INF, they built so tanky. Other than the Liliana and the Slims, they have just a lot of tankiness on their side, which means it's extremely hard to take out these super minions in the middle. And if you guys don't know, these are actually different from the normal super minions. They're like, I just call them the super duper minions, but the difference is they do a little bit more damage and they have a magic defense, whereas the super minions do not. So that makes it extremely tough to take them out. And this has to be ATF's game at this point. All they have to do is just leverage this the Abyssal Dragon buff, take some sort of team fight. They can't even do it on top of the core. The core is still half health from the time that Marja pushed in on it. I feel like as long as they push these waves in, this has to be their game. Actually, Krignak going in, being very aggressive, pushing in onto both the Scud and the Aram. Aram's gonna get extremely low. Doesn't even use her ult.
Yeah, that was such a misplay. Aram should have jumped in as soon as she got initiated, threw out the ult, but Kriknak's gonna go ahead and finish the game after getting the minions there. Such a missed opportunity. Aram really, just as soon as she got initiated on, saw that there was at least 4 heroes around her, ult one of heroes, didn't even matter which one at that point, and could have
Even just to buy
taken out
time,
one.
even if you're forcing the other team to not
Yes.
for 3 seconds, that is something in and of itself. But unfortunately, Lust just he was over aggressive with the snares in the early game. I would say actually properly aggressive, but his team just wasn't there.
Yeah.
And he got scared off of using the snare in the late game, and he really needed to do so.
I completely agree. As far as Arum and Komodo, or Lust and Komodo, definitely needed to. Their early games did well. I think the follow up needs to be a little careful. Komodo definitely needs to play a little bit less kamikaze on his initiations. He definitely gave up some kills in order to get a kill, which doesn't normally.
Well, in the early game, that's not a good idea. In the later stages of the game, that's actually his job, right?
Yes.
At
Yeah,
that point, he is so squishy
Mhm.
that the best you can do is just trade 1-for-1, which is what he did. I just felt like he unnecessarily let INF back into the game in certain points when he didn't need to be as aggressive.
Yeah.
Or again, you could say the other thing as well, as we did with Arum, and that maybe his team should have been with him.
Yeah. But wow, it's a pretty good game. I liked how back and forth it was.
Yeah, I really like the support Arduin play. That is not an easy thing to do because he's not your traditional support.
Mhm.
So making that work certainly is pretty good. I think we saw exactly why people don't really pick Arum though, because she can just get ripped apart by someone like a Telenos.
Yeah, I do agree. Talanis has got to be one of her counters by a large portion. So something that there were so many missed opportunities also for that Arum. I mean, there were so many times where we were like, oh, if she would have ulted at that point. But it is very much knowing where map awareness and knowing where everyone is on the map, knowing what you can do. We didn't see much of the Arum actually going into a tower to do damage early game, and that's usually, I mean, ultimately how you start off getting kills with her and kind of abusing that. And
Ultimately.
Yep.
You
See what I did there?
That's a knee slapper.
But yeah, I would like to have seen that. But I do agree. Once it gets, she's very much early to mid. She can be late game if built correctly or however. But I think with the team that the red team had, ATF had that time, it was just going to be a downhill battle.
I think what these teams need to do is watch some of the pro games, whether it be Valor Series, whether it be the AIC, and just see the insane aggression that every team plays with and the coordination that they have. I think part of the reason why I had some of the miscommunications and just lack of aggression from these teams is they don't know what they're capable of getting away with. And they play it like a solo queue, right? Like in solo queue, you don't want to die because most of these people are the carries in their teams. They're the best players in their team. And if they die, their team is going to lose. Mm-hmm. And I think they need to realize that if you trust in each other and if you play as a group and you get aggressive, then you can win these games and you don't have to be the carry on your team. You can be part of a cog that ends up winning the games because you're working in unison.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, it's really well put, for sure.
So I believe we have our lobby set up. I think ATF is going to be drafting first this time.
Yep. ATF will be up first. INF looks like they're just they got some communication that they're kind of going through right now, and then we will be able to start this one.
Do we have a replacement here? Is that correct?
A what? I'm sorry.
A sub coming in?
I'm not sure. I can't see who's on hold. I think the what's that? The fourth player looks like. I don't recall him from the last game.
I think Nateri wasn't there. Maybe I'm just going crazy.
But
all right. Well, regardless, yeah,
you're in that draft. Ready to go.
I wonder. There wasn't anything in particular that was a problem, in my opinion, as far as who if you're going to target ban this time.
Mm-hmm.
it didn't seem like it seemed like it was the coordination and just
Yeah.
the decision making and micro all the good old gameplay that caused the loss here for INF and slash the issues with closing out the game for ATF. So yeah, I don't see any targeted bans right now.
Yeah, I think that it was the best team. The best team. I don't think it was a picking phase type situation. I think both teams had an equal shot at winning, and I think that one team just definitely stepped up.
They do ban out the arm though, which I don't really have a problem with because it was pretty annoying. Let's be real. And if their team, I feel like if INF had been more aggressive, there could have been a lot more picks. So ATS says, I'd rather just not deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense. She definitely was the initiation force for ATF and could have turned the tide of the battle for a lot of those, but it just didn't end up working in the favor. But I think that they saw the potential and just didn't. I think exactly what you're saying.
I think this quick neck ban is Komodo doesn't really feel comfortable on him, and they picked quick neck to get away from the other team.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, let's just get rid of him.
Yeah. It definitely is what it could have been. It could have been that, hey, by the way, the team kind of and that happens a lot in like solo queues and stuff like that. Hey, who wants Cricknack, type situation. It's up, and the jungler who wanted jungle doesn't really get his hero that he wants and ends up getting guilted into playing someone like that, which is always a big deal.
Telenos in high demand here.
I gotta say, she's definitely come online. But the thing that I was gonna say is Wisp. I saw him kind of flip through, and Wisp is definitely someone that I've seen a lot in solo queue. I don't know if you have that same experience, but she's definitely been coming around in this current meta.
I'm hoping this. Oh, the Wisp. I think it's fine, especially to kind of counter the damage coming up from Tel. But this Necroth, I'm hoping this is a comfort pick because if they're picking him because they think he's going to be good in this situation, I kind of disagree. So I hope it's just a comfort pick here.
Yeah, with the, Necroth with a Gilder and.
I cannot tell you the last time I saw Gilder in a competitive match.
So we actually did get to see Gilder, I believe it was last week, and he actually did very well. He dominated the top lane. They did end up losing, if I do remember right, but it was I remember doing the exact same thing. I had the exact same reaction, and from that point on, I saw Gilder everywhere. In almost all the picks and everything, because he went top lane as damage and ended up winning the lane pretty heavily. But
so,
I looking at the synergy for this team, I think Ninja and Gilder are going to be the two that are going to be able to like really synergize well. Wisp definitely, but I don't know I don't know how I feel about the Necroth and the Richter. I just don't.
Well, what I want to see from Lust is to be the same aggressive player that we saw from him last game, right? His snares didn't work out, but now he has a Valheim to back him up. Whereas if he gets a hook, gets a Dark Dominion, there's a follow-up stun, you can get a pushback by Raz. I think I want to see the same exact type of aggressive play here coming in from Lust. And if they are able to coordinate that well, I think it's their game to lose.
Yeah, I think so too. This red team just looks a great pick. I do like the Valheim. I think in the jungle, I think that's a questionable pick, but I do like the heroes on this team. Scud being able to go up top. Raz always just seems to do so good, but I don't know how well he's going to do against Jannar.
Right, in a 1v1 battle, he'll win, but once we get to the team fights and Jannar has 3 members, and you can even include Scud in there, 4 members that he can jump on and just wipe out, it's going to be really on the Mina, the Raz, and the Valheim to stun him out and make sure that he's not getting to the backline. So one thing we do need to mention is that we have Valheim a hold, and I was actually expecting the Tell to be on the jungle because she's someone you want to scale up a bit faster, but we do have that Valheim. I'm curious to see if or what kind of build he's going to go, because you could very well go for magic damage type of focus.
So it looks like we actually have a pause because Richter's
Wait,
actually,
we have to.
yeah, we're gonna restart the game. So what they were saying is that Richter is just, I think, banned out for the rest of the, I don't know if the rest of the tournament, but definitely should not have been picked. That's something that was kind of discussed before the matches and everything. So I think that's what the pauses are about right now. It was discussed in general with a number of people. So they must have known. So I think it must have been either a accidentally chose incorrectly, or must have been so used to solo match that Toothpick must have made a mistake. But we will have to restart.
We did have a ban. It was certainly very confusing because we had Richter in our exhibition match, and then we had, I believe, a Richter ban in our first match. So I can see where the confusion might come in.
Oh, so Richter is going to be available 1 week after the release. He's available during the semifinals and the finals. So makes sense. So he's still too new. Definitely understand. No new heroes for the first 2 to 3 weeks. I forget. Yep. Okay. So we will have to restart this. So we'll go ahead and just pop it over to intermission and kind of go from there.
That does change the entire draft. I don't think it's going to be too impactful as far as seeing what the other team wants to go for. I suppose perhaps this might help ATF because they will know perhaps to ban out the Mina. Because right now I'm looking at this situation and Mina looks like a big thorn in ATF's side. So that could help ATF in the end because they could decide to ban Mina instead. Or pick her.
Yep, absolutely. So now that we're kind of known on what is going to be picked, yeah, I think Mina's going to be a ban. I can see that for sure.
Just semantics aside, or semantics talking about how do you even restart a game? how do you get out of the custom?
So since it's a custom game, it doesn't affect your stats, so you can just quit.
So how do you quit? Is what I'm asking.
In the top right, there's an arrow, and then there's a power button, and then you can quit.
Do you want to leave? Should I leave? I'm leaving.
There you go. Perfect. Whoops. All right.
So, ATF is not taking a loss, or are they taking a loss?
No, we're just gonna restart.
Okay. We're being nice.
Yeah.
We're not sticklers.
No. I think
honest mistake.
Yeah, I think it was just. I get it. I totally understand. It's hard to want to.
Well, we have 3 Richter games so far.
Exactly. So. That as well. I think that's a large portion of it too. And maybe something that should have maybe we should have touched on, probably, but it's okay. I know that you kind of sometimes you have to beat it into everyone, especially when it's a new hero. Everyone wants to play it. I totally get it.
Yeah, and the other thing is he's been out so long in Taiwan, and he doesn't even feel like a new hero to me, at least as far as casting.
Yeah. Well, must be nice. Getting all the heroes before all of us. What's the new hero with the thing on his arm?
It's like
I can't think.
Quillen, I think.
Is that what it is? He looks awesome. He looks so awesome. I can't wait to play.
I've only seen his name. I haven't actually seen his like what he does. So
He looks super cool. There's so many heroes that like I watched a YouTube video just the other day, and I was blown away on how many heroes there are. There's a hero that some kind of, I can't remember who it is, some kind of ninja looking kind of character, has all these abilities, but it's his ult or her ult, I can't remember who it is Reaper from Overwatch. That's the ult.
Oh, that's funny.
I was like, this is amazing. This is the kind of stuff I'm looking for.
Just basic stuff, just a bunch of damage.
Yeah, bunch of them.
You know, when I think about all these new heroes that are coming out that are, and usually they're OP, I always I cry a single tear for Baldum, the only non-OP hero that came out.
You know,
even Marja was bad when she came out, but then they're like, we'll fix that.
I was so excited for that hero, and maybe one day we'll get some Baldum love. Maybe one day.
Yeah, they just need to change his ults, just the mechanics of it, not the numbers, but the actual mechanics.
Yeah.
You always end up just saving the ally or your enemies rather than actually doing anything. All right, so we're back into the draft once more. Take 2 for game 2. Ban on Elsu and Ignis, which is normal, but a little bit abnormal is the ban onto the Slims here.
Yeah, that is, I gotta say, interesting. So, just like we were talking about earlier, no Mina. So I thought that Mina would have been the one to go with as far as bans.
Maybe they're picking Mina because they can't pick Richter.
Oh, that could be. Could be. Elsu is also the ban that we didn't see last game, if I remember right.
I think we did have it.
Oh, did we?
Ban.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Lindiskin chose for the blue. I do like. I mean, such a great pick. Tolanis, and then Crickneck.
They let the Kirkneck through. Speaking of ATF, so instead of banning it, and
switch to the Mina and switch to the Crickneck. Wow. So,
okay.
no, they're not doing Tolanis. There's no way they're gonna pick Tolanis on this ATF side. Okay.
Yeah.
There it goes.
Like, they came to the sentence. Tolanis is just literal bug food.
Yep. I do like the Irie pick, but the Roxy with it.
I think they needed a thicker front line because Lindis is all the damage you need. Just Lindis and one damaging mage, and you're good to go. I think they needed a thicker front line than this.
Yeah. Marja would have been awesome on this blue side. I think would have worked out well. Been a little tanky, would have been able to throw out some damage. Going with the Jannar on this to follow up with this blue side, but you need... I don't think Roxy can tank whatever damage.
There's two schools of thought, right? You can either go for a heavy front line and have the Lindis firing damage from the back, or what you can do is just turn your mage into part of the front line, and so now you have even more protection for your Lindis. So they're going for the combination of Jannar and the Pura, who combine very, very well together, and that's going to be their engage. So Pura's nice because she can both combine with the Jannar when he goes in, and also be the disengage for Lindis if there's an engage from Crickneck.
Yeah. I gotta say, this red team, though, looks just real nasty. So, Mina, Crickneck, Tolanis, Marja, and Raz. I mean, that is just a... Ugh. Not a combo you want to see.
Wait, Lust is playing the Crickneck? Wait, what's happening? Okay. I was so confused for a moment. It's like, wasn't he their support?
Yeah.
He's like, it's like, I've been the only aggressive one. Give me the jungle.
let me show you aggressive. Give me Crickneck.
Actually, I've seen that in the past. There was a team in the GCS in the Taiwan League, and their support switched to jungle, and it works so much better for them.
Really? Nice.
Yeah. So, I
I do
have
like.
to agree.
Go ahead.
I have to agree that INF, I believe, has the scarier lineup, but it all comes down to the Crickneck, because if the Crickneck isn't doing a lot, then the Lindis is going to just carry the game.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Completely agree. The Crickneck is going to be the... They need to set this jungler up to do the best he can. The hardest thing that I see Crickneck jumping in, and then what does this blue team do in order to stop them from initiating onto anyone? And I think that the only thing, other than Pura being able to stun and ult or anything like that, you need Irie to throw out as quickly as you possibly can, and Roxy to lock him down. And I don't know if that's going to be a thing that's going to be able to happen.
Yeah, the Agnes Grasp from Roxy could decide the game, right? If when Crickneck jumps in, if she can land the Agnes Grasp and blow up, because that he is insta dead if you land the Agnes Grasp on him and the team is around there. So that's going to be pretty huge here. We'll see how well they're able to land that.
All right, you can see ATF already checking out the blue side over, or their red side, their red team's blue side, and just making sure that no kind of initiations are going. But that left Lindis all by herself. If there's anyone that kind of put any kind of pressure onto her, she would have been in a little bit of trouble.
You saw Irie kind of in the vicinity, and once they scouted out where they backed off. Crickneck is going through... Oh, excuse me. I thought he was going faster. They are on the same pace about. Looks like a knock up onto Pure. She has to flicker away. And while Ninja tries to come in to help, he takes a big power surge to the face as well. Oh no. The Might Golem got leashed, so now Komodo has to sit around here for a little while. And I have to just take the other monster while he's waiting, but a little bit of misplay from them. Again in danger. He gets knocked up, gets pulled back. He's getting pushed around. Pops the heal, tries to stay alive. One more hit will kill him. Lust trying to go in on him, but the save from Roxy. Now Roxy's 1v2ing like a boss. In comes the Lindis. Can she finish them off? She's not quite level 4 yet, so doesn't have that Lunar Champion to start wailing away at people. Takes another power surge to the face. Just missed opportunities on both sides there.
And Lindis and Crickneck both have reacted to that fight about the same time, both finishing up their buffs. And as soon as they both showed up, you could see both teams just wanting to get out of that situation. Neither wanted to commit. Dragon spawning at this moment. You do see Pura sitting around. Oh, and yes, you were absolutely right. Roxy just getting picked off down on bottom. Perfect opportunity, and this is what we'd like to see is as soon as the dragon's being spawned, you want to initiate, finish off one of the teammates of the opposing team. And look at this now.
Komodo? Okay, gets sealed by Valor. Now, INF has 4 members around this dragon. They're going to go ahead and start it up. That, by the way, like you mentioned, is the greatest strength of Crickneck. You can rotate and literally kill anyone. If they're by themselves, if you have a side laner by themselves, you can literally just dive the tower and kill them, no matter who it is, no matter how tanky they are.
Yep, absolutely. Mina getting a great pull, but just not able to have a team followed up. But
Lust is just running around with with 1/3 health. Just I don't care.
Not a surprise.
Anyway,
not a surprise from what we saw last game. So good to see. Not changing up much of the gameplay. Still playing aggressive, which I think on Mina is going to be a lot more successful than on Aram.
Right, especially because she has, first of all, the Dark Dominion on a much lower cooldown, and she has a hook that she can use rather than having to use Snare every single time.
Yep. Look at this. Irie was actually in a little caught out there, but
it's Irie.
Able to get, again, elusive as heck and able to get out of that situation.
All right, so 700. Go ahead.
Oh, the gameplay is definitely slowed down from what we've seen in the last game. Like we're 4 minutes in. There's only been one real big fight, and that is about it.
Yeah, both sides are trying to play it safe, make sure to farm up a little bit. In particular, Crickneck wants to find picks, but he hasn't been able to find one other than the one on the bottom side earlier. And in the meantime, Lindis, she needs a little bit. She needs about an item and a half to start chunking people down.
So 30 seconds on that dragon. You can see blue team looks like they want to initiate down on bottom. Ooh, Toothpick missing the ult, which would have really sealed the fate for Talanis. The red team now rotating down, and now the blue is on the defensive. Talanis getting a little bit of aggressive. Crickneck still has not jumped in. Dragon in 10 seconds needs to be careful that if either one of these teammates lose somebody, that dragon is going to the other team.
Yeah, Nature's Rally coming out here from the Pura as well, so I'm not going to have that for this particular team fight. That said, iNFamous is backing up, which means that this could be an opportunity for ATF to burn it down. Crickneck is going to be scouting this out. Can he take on these members by himself? Doesn't have his drone drop, it seems like, and it's going to go down. Finally pops it, but it's too late.
So while that was going on, the red team did go for the blue, tried to dive Irie, and Irie is now trying to get out of the situation, which it looks like she's going to have next to no problem. Look at Marja scouting, meticulously looking.
Does she
if
know?
she... No, she doesn't. Oh, that would have been good. While that's going on, a fight going in mid, Jannar throwing out his ult, Pura throwing out hers, and just not able to come up with a kill. And now they're re-engaging onto the blue team, and now Lindis is caught out and is going to go down to that Crickneck. And Crickneck actually running into Pura, who he didn't, I don't think he knew was in the forest, in the bush right there, and ends up going down.
Raz, with perhaps a couple of missed opportunities there, could have pushed a couple members back, but missed on that pushback. And so he comes out of there with no kills of his own, other than the kill that was caught onto Komodo here. So it just feels like they need to be more on the same page, because Ninja goes in there, almost gets the kill, but once they don't get the kill, they need to back off and just take control of the map, take control of the fact that the opponents are low, they need to go back. They overstayed the welcome, and they got killed for it.
Absolutely. And if we take a look at the gold, it's only about, let's say what, maybe 2K at this
Fight in the middle. Fight in the middle.
Wow.
Ninja goes in. A little bit too late. The team's already dead, and he's going to go down despite being in that exuberant state.
Toothpick
Two members
actually
down.
An interesting mechanic there. Toothpick threw the ult, but Mina pulled at the same time. And Toothpick ended up missing the ult because of Lust throwing out the hook at the same time. It's a very interesting
just repositioning so that the ice grass goes in a different direction. Pretty interesting there. So INF really taking it to ATF this game, starting to come out ahead. They're up about 2,500 gold after all these picks.
Now, we do see the dragon. We do see that the Talanis does see that their blue team is interested. That's going to have them rotate down here. And if that information does not get communicated to your team, it is going to be a for sure loss of a dragon. You can see that Lindis coming down, trying to set something up, possibly Jannar and Irie all in their respective lanes. And it is about to go down as far as this dragon is considered. Red team very interested. Marja already halfway rotated to this area. And look at this, Jannar just gets completely picked up. And
the heal! He's alive! Nature's Rally comes out. He's still there.
Absolutely right.
No, he's gonna die anyway. He went the wrong direction. Tried to come back into the fight. Realized he was out of position. Down goes Lindis as well. So too Steve Fox. He goes down as well. The long distance terrifying play could take him out. That is a 4 for 0.
And this is going to be a tower and the dragon. Probably 2 towers. Actually, maybe even 3, depending on what Talanis
Yeah, the
does.
bottom lane. Yeah, exactly. There's no one there. I think it looks like they're just going to go back up and get the Abyssal. Slightly risky to go for the tower there. Oh, she's going to go back, double back over to the tower, realizing that no one's there. Looks like she realized that that's an opportunity for her, especially because she has 2 of her teammates back in the mid. Being distracting, so able to get 3 towers and an Abyssal, and you get the experience for getting 4 kills as well. So 5,000 plus gold lead here for INF and major tower advantage. So they're going to clear out their own jungle here. Speaking of INF continuing to put on that pressure, I think their next target is going to be this Dark Slayer. Their optional objective here is about a 50-second timer on the Enraged Abyssal Dragon. And looks like INF is using the threat of the take on the Dark Slayer to potentially set up push party if there is a check to see if it's being taken. And it would have worked if they'd stayed there. If they'd been a little bit more patient that pick, but instead it looks like Marja is the one getting aggressive on cast. Because that Ghostwalk to get out of there. Ninja taking a lot of damage. Has to get back out of there, but gets hooked in, even though he has that endurance to keep himself alive. But the re-engage Fierce goes down as their first kills of the day. And wow, 3 kills. Gonna keep taking out Lust as well. That is the first 4 kills of the game, and it comes in a 4-0 wipe of the opposing team.
What a great team fight. Irie did amazing. Jumped in, was able to stun all 4 and throw a shuriken that stunned them all again. And then the blue team was just able to clean up after and keep that momentum going. Now they're taking their first tower. And look at this. They are already initiating on the Dark Slayer. They're kind of spreading themselves thin. If they're able to pick up this kill onto Talanis, which they're just not able to, now they really need to back up. Now the Crickneck is up. The Dark Slayer still going down. It is about half-life. They need to back up. Pura stayed a little bit too long. Roz coming in, making sure that that goes down, but the Dark Slayer is picked up, so a great pickup by them.
Yeah, really well done that they're able to pick up the Dark Slayer in that amount of time. Even though Pura does go down, that's a worthy sacrifice because you're still down 3,000 gold. So all things equal, you're going to be giving up the Dark Slayer. The fact they're able to pick it up and not give it over to your team, which is the most likely outcome, is very nice here for ATF, and they're starting to find their bearings in this game.
I do see Jannar sitting very close, and they instead of initiating onto him, they go for the dragon. So they're trying to sneak this, I believe, and you can see, look at this, Mina doing a great job zoning out the enemy team, making sure that they don't see what's going on. Mina does get seen at that point, but it is too little too late. Crickneck does pick up the Dark Blessing, and the the Drake is actually picked up to the tower, so that's going to be a free tower for them. They're not going to be able to kill it fast enough.
I kind of like that use of the Drake because you know they're going to be on the back foot after the Abyssal's being taken, so you might as well use this time now to take out a tower. It's never going to be really useful, and it's probably just going to go down for nothing.
Yep. Big initiation here. Mina getting caught outright, but she's so tanky, able to live through that engage. And you can see that Roz just throwing out what he can. This blue team is completely turning this game around. What was just a big gold deficit is now only 4. Mina did a great job, was able to hook him into the tower. So good.
Right, but they still have minions onto said tower. Can they take it out? Too big. Taking a lot of damage, gets a hook, gets a terrifying plague to the face. Ninja's extremely low, gets taken out with that power surge. Great job by Cobra. That's a double kill for him. And pushing on to Roxy, and ATF has officially overstayed their welcome. 3 deaths to their side, and likely to be a 4th here as Vadarung tries in vain to stay alive with that nature rally, but he's going to fall as well.
I think that, I don't know if that was a misplay by Irie. Irie wasn't with the team, knowing that the whole team was going to go. I think that might have been a bad call on ATF for staying so long, trying to keep that momentum going, even though that they were low life. I think might be the big misplay there. I'm not sure. What do you think?
I think it was their indecision. I think it was either they needed to go in or they needed to get out, and they kind of just hung around like, what do we do here? Like, they need to either just jump on the tower. I think they had an advantage there, right? They could have jumped to the bottom side tower. They had their opponents pretty low. Yeah, they had the Dark Slayer buff, which is basically healing. But I think they could have taken that. And they were kind of like, well, can we take it? Not sure. And so they kind of have to back off. And they backed off in such a fashion that INF were able to take advantage.
Yeah, it's very true. You're absolutely right. I think that inevitably is what it is. It's either all or nothing, and they chose to kind of half engage. Yeah. And look at this. We're about to see a big engage here. Pura doing a great job throwing out that heal. But, ooh, Roxy's gets caught out, but the red team just not able to initiate onto her. Or even if they wanted to at this point, it's a Roxy. They probably want to use their cooldowns for maybe one of the more important heroes.
Well, the big thing there is Roxy kind of panicked and used Agni's Grasp. He saw her pull the Mina back in, but it did absolutely nothing. So now the Dark Dominion's going to be back up. In fact, it already is back up, but we're gonna have to wait a while for the Agni's Grasp to be back up.
Pure taking a little bit of damage to the face, and Mina again being aggressive, but it's paying off. She's able to jump in and run away with next to no issues due to how tanky she is. And if she was ARM at this point, I think she would have been still having some issues.
Another missed Agni's Grasp here from Toothpick. I think they need to stop fighting straight up. They need to go around the sides and take out the back line. They're just fighting right into Mina, and that's exactly what INF want. Even if Mina dies, it doesn't matter because she's the support. She's setting up plays for her team. Speaking of setting up plays, Valor goes down there to the combined forces of INF. Yeah, that is a bad sign.
Very much bad rotations. Knew that that was a high stakes area. The red team did take over that entire area. Great try on Lust being able to try to go for that Roxy. That would have been a certain death, especially being already half-life. Talana's almost finishing off that tower. Irie tries to go in, but doesn't have the team, ends up backing off. Top tower is taken out.
Yeah, that's one of the power. That's part of the power of Telenas, right? You have a Tel, you have a Violet. You can always take down towers, even if, wow, just chunked down is Ninja. Komodo goes down as well. They don't even care. They're going to be jumping on Roxy. It doesn't matter how tanky she is. Going to be taking down this tower as well. Unfortunately, Vadarong too little too late.
Look where Irie is, completely out of position. The game is about to be over, and there's just nothing she can do about it. And she tries to jump in, throws out a stun, throws out a skill, but it's just too little too late. Steve Fox was just not with the team on that one. Again, really did try to push tower, try to get something going, but it's just too little too late when recalling. Once Jannar did get hooked by that Mina, it was just complete downhill. The blue team needed to back off at that point. Jannar got completely destroyed. Mina needs to stick with the Minas. Lust needs to stick with Minas, for sure. Arm didn't work out, and I think it might have been part of the team comp, part of the aggressiveness. But, man, his playstyle with the Mina, I think, worked out really well.
Yeah, Mina is one of those heroes that you need to be extremely aggressive, and certainly Lust is. Looking at the score screen, it is just mind-boggling. Ninja only 6,700 gold. Meanwhile, Steve Fox with 11,000 gold, basically an entirely full build. He had all the gold. We were looking at the situation, and it was, like 4,000-ish, right? It's like, well, ATF can take a team fight, but we forgot the fact that all of the gold was on Irie, so it actually was more like an 8,000 gold lead because he didn't have the Irie in the backline. The one good fight they took, the one time they 4-0'd their opponent, it was just a great sneak into the backline by the Irie. She's really the only one who can do that. Jannar can kind of get there, but he needs to go in a straight line to the backline. You can't really sneak around. So I think I have to agree with you. I think that Steve Fox needed to be there with his team. Either that or the team needed to do a better job of disengaging and letting Steve Fox split push.
Yes.
And neither happened. Either they need to disengage better or Steve Fox needed to be there. One of the two.
I agree. And the big fight that they won, it was because of Steve Fox being there. He was able to jump in. He stunned all of them, then stunned again with the shuriken, and really dismantled the entire team. So when they fought as a team, they started to do well. When they fell apart is when he went and tried to split push away from them. And that's when they started to fall apart. And it's due to the fact that he had all the money.
Yeah, I would almost like to have seen Roxy split push and then have Irie with the team.
Yeah.
Because they need someone to take out Tel. If they don't take out Tel, they're going to get wiped out. Because, Crickneck's going to go in there. He might get a kill, he might not, but he's going to be getting the focus from the entire team. Meanwhile, Tel is just ripping everyone apart. The Tel needs to die. T-Fox needed to be there to do it. Unless Toothpick just has amazing Agni's Grasp and can pull her back in or something like that. I think that it was probably better to have Toothpick be the one split pushing and Steve Fox the assassin getting in the back line and taking those kills.
Yeah, I agree. It's just such a great team fight and comeback that they were having. And I think you're absolutely right. Toothpick going maybe split pushing, but again, That's the only tank on the team, which isn't such a bad thing, but really, I think if they would have fought S5, I think Mina still would have got the best of them, but I think they would have had a much better showing.
Yeah, I think they, I was thinking that I was picked, but in retrospect, 2020 hindsight here,
Mm-hmm.
I think that they went too all in on the Pyrrha Jinnar combo. And let's think back, right? The reason why it was a combo was because she was just buffed in that particular patch. I think you need to have a better reason to picking Pyrrha these days, especially after her nerf. So, that all said, I'd rather have a bigger, beefier frontliner so that Komodo could get this damage in. I mean, look at Komodo, 5 deaths, not farmed. He needs to stay alive.
Yep. And it's pretty night and day from where he was last game on the Crickneck. So when he was on the Crickneck, he was able to dive in, do the damage, and then ended up perishing most of the time. And when he was on the, maybe that could be his playstyle. Maybe that's what it is. But with the Lindis, you got to be a little bit more hit and run kind of tactics and know when to kind of go all in. So that could have been maybe part of it, but did do 24 damage. So he was in those fights.
Yeah, I would. You know what? I think they need to ban out either the Mina or the Crick or both, because those are definitely the biggest issues here. If you are ATF, I don't think the tell was necessarily an issue. It was because of the great frontline play here from Crickneck. Crickneck getting those early picks, they enabled them to snowball the game. Mina just being an overall terror. I think that those need to be the priority bans next game. Tell you can kind of deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we are going into game number 3. How do you feel about going into this?
You know what? It really comes down to the draft, and I wasn't thinking that coming in. I was thinking, you know what? ATF looked pretty good in game number 1. Thought that maybe they'd be able to pull off the same thing in game number 2, but really, I think the draft betrayed them. You know what? I'm actually going to get some.
Go for it. Yeah, no problem. Let's see what's going on in chat. You guys got the patch notes? Look at you. Winter Wonderland patch notes? Absolutely. If you guys didn't know, if you need to check us out, make sure to check out D2 on Twitter. Make sure to check that out. You can reach me on my Twitch channel, which is just twitch.tv/OneRain. What? Not that. Not one Ramo. There you go. Instead, thank you very much. But yes, if you guys want to check us out, that's where you can find us. Also, we will be doing this last match, and this will be the last match of the night. So this is game number 3. INF is 1-1. ATF is 1-1. And this will be the last one of the last one of the day. One Ramo, greater than one Rain. Thanks, CJ. Appreciate your face, buddy. One mistype, and that's all I get.
So look at this. We have a Raz ban here from ATF. The Raz was pretty effective, I gotta say. And
yes,
I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that.
One thing that I forgot to mention is that Cobra on Raz is a beast. We have seen that before in other matches, and he just completely devastates the team. He's very comfortable on that hero, and we've seen him do wonders. Look at the Mina ban, though. Gotta respect it. You gotta respect it.
Yeah, I feel like even the Mina was a higher priority than the Aram, but I mean, if they're going to go for the back-to-back, it doesn't really matter. And yeah.
I gotta say, first pick Talanis.
It just opened you up. It opened you up so much to getting taken out, and it looks like Komodo isn't really comfortable going with the Crick. They were actually hovering the Wukong for a moment there.
Oh,
Yevoneth, by the way, made it through. Yevoneth made it through to the pick stage. I'm curious if this will be a side lane Yevoneth or a support Yevoneth.
Yeah, I'm really curious. So Annette and Crick being shown, and I gotta say,
Mm.
I don't
This feels
love this team already. Like the blue
well.
side, I gotta see what the next two are, but already I'm not loving it.
I like the crick to go with the tell, right? Because you're taking the crick away from the other team. You're putting a lot of attention on your own crick neck so that the tell can get her damage in. I'm just not really understanding the net. I think they need another frontliner to go with crick. Like the
Mhm.
Mina worked great. Just go with something like a Thane. Go with something, what have you? Like I guess Grak wouldn't be the best, but we the best for something to get in there. And it looks like they're gonna take away the Jinnar, which we've seen Ninja on every single time.
Mhm. So, we gotta talk the Chugnar pickup. I do like it. I don't love it, but I think it's for
I
this
feel like
team.
they
I
banned
don't
the
know.
Mina, but then picked a Chognar. I don't know if
Yeah.
you pick a Chognar to soft counter the Mina so that she can't get her Dr. Minions off.
Or if you have like a stun heavy team, like a Velheim. Like if Velheim was on the other team, it would make sense. But like,
He's countering his own team.
there's just not enough. Like Jannar, straight pure damage. Marja, straight pure damage with a little bit of slow. Talanis with the slow does have a stun. Annette has a stun, and then it just doesn't.
Kind of a stun, sort of.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
You know, if Lust was on a more aggressive frontline hero, perhaps like a Thane, I think this would be a slam dunk win for INF in this draft.
Oh yes, absolutely.
I think they still have the better draft, but it's not the best. It's not like a super win for them.
I gotta say, maybe you know what? It doesn't make any sense. So Annette was already picked, and now that I look at the team, they have a lot of stuns on this red side. So maybe they were thinking, oh, we take the Chugnar away from the other team, so that their team succeeds. But Annette was already picked, so it doesn't make any sense.
Well, Chognar can play side lane if you need him to. He can play solo lane, so that's something they could have gone for. That is a little bit too forward thinking.
Yeah.
Because you kind of just let them. If they're gonna pick sideline Chognar, then let them have it. But okay. Just looking at this, a lot has to come from Toothpick on Yevoneth. He needs to be with the team constantly because if he's not there, it's going to be difficult to keep the dive coming in. He needs to be there with his Nature's Realm in order to pop that to slow the other team down and make sure that this back line's not dying.
Yeah, I completely agree. I want to see this blue team succeed. I want to see how this synergy is going to work. I just can't see it right currently. I want to see how it plays out for sure, but I can definitely tell you that this red team has the makings of a really good team, but the Chugnar is the odd man out in that aspect.
Yeah, it's just both the Chognar and the Annette are what's keeping.
Yeah, it really is.
Having amazing compositions.
It really is. If they were on if they were switched, I would be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I get it.
Makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I gotta say they are weird, and it looks like ATF might be.
Veteran? Hello? Is he AFK? What's happening?
Okay,
no,
there he goes.
He's back.
Finally starts moving. We have seen him having some issues later. I was just about to pause the game, making sure that everything's good. If we take a look up at top, actually, Marja.
Sieg. Has to flicker away. Wow. I was about to say, I would like to have seen Valheim top and then Yevoneth in the bottom to make sure that they have Yevoneth near the Abyssal for team fights. But doing a great job. Tries to use the execute, but he's going to pay for it with his life, excuse me. And I knew when he went in, I'm like, what are you doing? You're not going to get the kill. I know you have execute, but that's not enough. I'm sorry.
Yep.
And then he pays for it.
He wanted to get aggressive, and it was just at the wrong time. If he waited just a little bit, it would have worked out. But
and just using the fact that they're low, that's an advantage you can take advantage of. When they're low, you have so much more leeway to move map to bully your opponent. They have to be back at some point. When they be back, you can start taking monsters. You can start having advantages on the map. Getting them half down, it's not like, oh, if they're dead. If they're not dead, that doesn't matter. Like, no, that's something you can take advantage of.
And look at this, ATF using that synergy from the top, going to
INF.
take the dragon.
And so INF takes the dragon, but meanwhile ATF. Oh, that's what you're referring to. Yeah, ATF take there. So they're finally able to take that down. Unfortunately, in case you guys don't know, towers have reduced damage on them pre 3 minutes, so it's going to be way harder here for Yevoneth and Zephys to take it out, and indeed they cannot.
Yep. So they definitely give it a shot, but just not able to. Looks like a net in a bad situation, but the red team does back off a little bit. Chugnar trying to get aggressive. I do like how tanky he is, and I hope that he continues that pace. I'm sure he will, but I want to see what he's gonna be able to do. A net and Chugnar. It's gonna come down to one of those two. Whoever can really succeed the most on the two of them.
You know what? I'm thinking is the opposite. Well, in a way, it's the same thing. I'm just whichever side can be less of a non-burden to them, to their team, less of a burden to their team. You know, they can actually help them out, because I think the rest of the team is what's going to be making it for both sides. Wow, great steal from Valor. Steals out the might buff there.
Ooh, and net getting initiated by that. Oh, and Valheim doing a great job, but they just need to follow up. But ATF just doesn't want to do it. They're a little worried where the rest of the team is, and Lust almost getting taken out. And look at Valheim running away. He has his whole team there, but finally Komodo going in, taking a lot of the damage, and is going to go down in that. And Cricknack coming in, big boy damage, and finally was able to take out the nuisance of this red team. Wow.
Yeah, just every single member going in at different times, not being able to get the damage in. Toothpick trying to take out Cobra, pops his Nature's Realm, unable to get it done. But that is the power of Yevoneth, and that's why I feel like we need to have Yevoneth in the bottom side, because he can take multiple members on at the same time. He can completely disrupt the team fight. You saw Valheim getting some damage in, but you know, like you mentioned, one hurricane, or excuse me, what is the thing called? The Gale Force? the whirlwind on the ground. It actually does a lot of damage if you stand in it, because it does increasing damage, and I can see why Valheim ran away, but they need to be on the same page when they're aggressing in there.
It's in the center of it, I believe, as well.
If you're in the center, take more damage, and if you stand in it for a long time, you take more damage. It's both.
Yeah. So Annette missing that skill, and you gotta really be careful, because as soon as that skill is down, she's so susceptible. Ooh. Throwing out a good stun, was able to land it, but Chugnar wants to go all in on this, but ends up having to back out, seeing that his team wasn't there. The red team.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's really Chugnar's only value right now. Try to get on the back line, but I feel like if you just provided those stuns for your team, you'd be a little bit better off. Is able to slow down Annette and Co as they try to come into this fight. Are they going to take it out? Big Hurricane want to push him back, but I think the Abyssal does go over to Red. Yes, it does in the end. Big fight coming out here. It's extremely low. Komodo's going to go down to Fierce in the end there. He's able to pick him off. And despite getting the Abyssal Dragon, they do lose their jungler. Gold is still pretty much even, but Zeph is going to be behind Cricknack for the time being.
I gotta say, it's very impressive that the gold is so close at this point. Oh, we got an initiation going on up on top, but Toothpick pops his ult, using everything that he can to go onto Lust. And look at this, Marja, not a care in the world. It's like, I'm just going to save my tower if you don't mind. And rightfully so, the tower is very low. But Lust doesn't back off. Really wants to go blow for blow. And look at this initiation on red, now that knowing that the blue was so low on top. And Jannar having to run for his life. Same with Marja. And just no focusing really lets all of them get away.
Yeah, they didn't go for a single target there, or they didn't focus one particular target and let them get away in the end. One of the issues, though, is that the CC is all a little bit split up here, and again, I'd really like to see Chugnar had some sort of CC. It'd be really nice. Jump in here onto Ninja. Nice knock up, but he's going to be engaged upon by Cobra and Lust, and he's going to go down. Great wind cuffs, which leaves the ult from Telenos. They're getting so much damage, and down goes Valheim. That was a great combination here from INF. And will Komodo go down as well? He's staying a little bit too long, and he will pay for it with his life, and that is INF coming back out on top.
During all of that, Marja did end up going down to Toothpick up on top also.
Yeah, great. Well done by Toothpick. Really winning that lane. Unable to help in time. Members of INF are extremely low here, but there's not going to be any sort of punish. And in fact, the opposite is true. Tel is going to go ahead and take this tower and get out scot-free.
Chugnar popping his ult a little premature, but oh, Annette gets killed, and that's Toothpick right there again. Still had that execute up after fighting Marja up on top. I'm really surprised by that. Look at this. He's getting very overconfident at this point, missing most of his ult, but it does cause the blue team to disengage. And Jannar was coming to throw out some support, but you have 5 heroes down on bottom. Marja should be able to get this tower, and you can see that Toothpick is going to have to run up to top.
Yeah, I was wondering why he was hanging around the area. He needs to get back up top ASAP. Meanwhile, bottom lane, they do get the tower there, so he's going to have to go right back up. He does lose the tower for it. Toothpick actually has the most gold in the game right now, so I feel like he needs to be part of more of these team fights.
Yeah, he is 2-1 right at this point. He is doing really well as far as his lane, and when he did come into the team fights, we haven't got to see it yet. He did get the pickup on Annette, which was nice, but he did show up very late to the show. But again, Marja is having some issues, so this blue team may need to start maybe putting some eyeballs up on top.
I feel like Marja should have a little bit of an easier time against Yevoneth because she can outrange him, especially with her first ability there. So look for her to start, taking more advantage of that. A little bit of a skirmish here in the mid. The gold is almost dead even at the moment, as another tower goes down here for blue. So, red, the towers are actually pretty even. If you just ignore the kill count at the top here, basically we have a completely even game.
Yeah, absolutely. Ooh, and we have a pause, and it's more than likely that Chugnar's been having some connection issues. So I'm assuming that the communication stopped as far as Chugnar, and he is waiting patiently to reconnect. That is my guess.
While we're waiting, let's take a look at these builds. Crixie going extremely aggressive here, going for the enchanted kick, so not going to have any sort of CC reduction, going full out damage, which means that she will die immediately if someone jumps on top of her, but at the same time, gotta be careful of those mischiefs coming out and taking people out.
Yeah, definitely. I do like Valheim. Valheim is looking pretty solid as far as the build that he's got currently in the game. You can see that Talanis is a little bit ahead as far as gold is considered, but still keeping up pretty well. So that's going to be a pretty good matchup. It's really going to come down to the gold lead. So yeah, super even. Just the items going.
Val going full AD at the moment. It looks like he went for the Clava Sancti and now going for build Hurricane. Wow.
A great stun by Toothpick, who just was able to get 2 of them. Valheim? And Valheim was picked off by the Talanis. Talanis throwing out the damage. Toothpick's going to go down. And wow, they were not ready for what just happened. And you can see that the red team is pausing the game, trying to maybe make sure that all team members are there, catch a breath on what just happened. You could see that they were not ready. What turned out, Toothpick just happened to be in such a good position, but the red team was not there to follow up with them. And look at this. Zephys going in, trying to be a baller, but ends up falling flat on his face with 4 blue team teammates right next to each other. Chugnar in mid lane during that time, under half-life, just trying to clean up.
Yeah, I think that's just not understanding the situation now for the Zephys. He's not... It's one thing if he's the most fed on the team, which happens sometimes with the jungler, but he is not by any means. So he can't really take that fight into people with more gold than he does. I know they were low, but you're trading at 1 for 1 perhaps, and it's not going to work out for you, and it didn't.
Yeah, red team was, that was such a dead even fight. And it really just came down to positioning. I think Toothpick was just out of position with his team. Tried to initiate, thinking that he was still going to be able to get out of that situation, but the blue team did such a good job focusing targets down, which led Toothpick to getting taken out. But Zephys initiating onto Marja, but Marja's going to be able to ult and get the heck out of there. The blue team going for the Enraged Abyssal Dragon. It's going to reset, but they were able to pick it off really quickly. That's huge. So what turned into such an even game has completely flipped on their heads for this red team.
That's something that ATF has to be more mindful of, because with a Crick and a Telenos, you can completely melt these objectives. So you need to keep an eye on them at all times, or else, like, even 1 second looking away, it's going to go down. See them taking advantage of that small opening that they got there.
Gotta say,
now, in these team fights, I feel like they need to be more in tune as far as, like you mentioned last time, they're completely split up. Valor is, his connection issues are really becoming an issue.
I'm not sure if it's
sits there and takes a ton of damage from the Tel.
He's been doing that quite a bit at this point, so I'm not sure if he thinks that he's still like hidden after he gets hit with that. ATF completely caught out, gets dunked, and same with Steve Fox, just way out of position. Red team so far on the other side of the map, and at this point, what do? Do you back up? Chugnar's choosing to back up. You can see Toothpick actually going in, wanting to fight this, going in with the against the Marja, and you can see they're trying to finish him off, but Toothpick is just not strong enough to save through all that damage, and now Komodo dies. Wow.
They were trying. What Toothpick was trying to do was just sustain under the tower, so that it could give Komodo enough time to take down the tower. But he just didn't have enough damage. You look at his build; he's only finished the rank breaker. The Leviathan isn't providing enough damage for his side. Yeah, there's burn damage, but that's about it. And he's building even into the Frostcape right now. So he went defense, offense, defense in this build, and that is not enough to take down a tower in this situation.
It's very true. He needed. I like the attempt, but I think, especially with a Marja there, they're just not going to be able to do it. Plus, tanking the tower, he really dove in quite a bit when Marja really didn't need to. When he really didn't need to, Marja was so far out of the base that he really could have sat in a safe position. But I see what they were trying to do, but they just underestimated their damage. Oh, Ninja actually flickering there. I would say that's got to be a big misplay. No need for it. It wasn't going to stun or anything, but just, I guess, didn't want to take the damage.
Well, I think from here on out that Komodo just needs to be basically a second tank, or even it's just the first tank, because Chognar isn't providing any CC. So he needs to get in there, needs to get the stuns, just be the tank for your team. You've built tanky items, your passive gives you tankiness. So just get in there and provide the shield for your team to follow up, right? Because the damage is going to actually come from, more likely, the Yebuneth or the Crixie or the Valheim, who, Valheim is built all damage at this point. So he needs to just be their front line and make sure that they get that damage in.
This fight could actually go really wrong for this blue team if this red team initiates with Marja all the way up top, all 5 red team members here. And look at this. Annette kind of caught out a little bit, but here comes the Cricknack and just rips apart the Crixie.
I think Zephys just needs to be with his team. He is their tank. He is their support right now. I think to realize that he needs to be there so that his team can deal damage. While you were looking at that, he completely whiffed on a death from above onto the Cricknack, who was flying around literally on his drone drop. Just needs to be with the team, and again, he's got to be the support right now because they don't really have someone to get people off the backline.
So if we look at the gold difference, I mean, it is starting to see quite a bit of a gap in between these two teams.
Well, the biggest thing is the Tel. It's not just the overall gold; it's the Tel. Just says, look, she has basically a full build. That Astral Spear, I'm guessing, is going to be going into Muramasa at the end there. She has the crits. She has what, 25, 35, 45, 55, 65? 65% crit.
Yeah.
And lots of 80 on top of it to boot.
And completely ripped apart the Darkslayer. I mean, it was gone before we even saw that they were doing it. So it's no surprise that this red team is just completely on their heels and just doesn't know what to do. They have to get that Solanas down.
The thing is, I said that the Zephys has to be the support, but then he also needs to be the one to dive the backline. It's just, again, it comes back to the Chognar. The Chognar is doing 0. right? And so Zephyrus needs to be the support, but he also needs to be the dive, and you can't do both. You physically cannot do both at once.
Mhm. I think you're right. I think that the Chugnar, if you maybe started to go damage or something along those lines, he just does. He's not a threat. He's not able to tank. No, he's not a threat because of it. And now, perfect example. So he's running around during this fight, and his team is just getting dismantled at this point. Luckily, we're able to get the Cricknack, but Evaneth is just not able to get through it. And he is going to go down here, especially with that Tulanis being up. And that is going to be the game. Wow.
INF, they do it. They come back from being down 0-1. They take him out with what is, in my opinion, 2 complete outdrafts on their side. And great play, obviously, to follow it up. The Crick-Tell complement, the Crick-Tell combo, did him in 2 games in a row.
Yeah, it really did. I gotta say, you can see that they're very comfortable on Tulanis. It really worked out good for them, and almost, just did wonders for him.
Yeah, and the Jinner was really nice as well because he provided, again, that indirect cover. You're focusing on the Jinner, this is a big guy throwing balls in your face, and you're like, I can't deal with this. And meanwhile, you wake up, you look at the death details, like, oh, 80% of that was Telenos just firing at me from the back line. And yeah, gotta give it to them. Lust, by the way, played that aggressive in net. 3 deaths, but also 17 assists. Getting in there, making plays for the team.
Interesting fact, Lust did more damage than Cricknack did.
Got those wind cuffs, got those gale forces.
Wow.
Hurricane walls.
Yeah. That's really impressive.
Yeah. Cricknack was just, Cricknack did get 6 kills, so his damage was impactful. He got the kill and got out of there.
Cobra actually on the Jannar did 28% of the damage. Tulanis only did 24. So the real powerhouse, believe it or not, may not have been through the entire game, or towards the end of the game, but through the entire game, Cobra really was doing well.
What was stopping Cobra, right? Yeah. You had Komodo not focusing on him when he went in. Chungnar physically cannot stop him. He can, throw out a bit of a slow. And then Toothpick wasn't around to help most of the fights anyway, right? He's usually on his own. Now you're looking at Valheim and Crixie to stun for themselves, to provide cover for themselves. And that is never a good situation to be in. So Cobra had free reign to get in there. But I got to say that the Tell, she just finished her build so quickly. The Bissell gone, the Darkslayer gone, and then what are you supposed to do as ATF?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And just I gotta say, from start to finish, they did really well. That mid game got really intense, but right after that pause is right when things just went straight downhill for that red team.
I gotta say, I think that if you're gonna be picking a Valheim here, you really need to at least build one defensive item, because you need to have those stuns. You can't just be sitting there trying to get damage out. That's not really how Valheim operates. So I think that they need to play a little bit differently, and they're just a bit too disjointed. They played a good first game, but just kind of fell flat in games 2 and 3. And I gotta say, we talked about INF quite a bit as far as the coordination of their team and how it got better throughout the series, but I think that a lot of that has to go to Lust. We were railing on Lust in the first game, but really just that aggression came in and was the difference maker.
Yeah, it definitely was played aggressive on a hero that you can see that it plays well with certain heroes. So Aram, it does well if you're able to, dive towers or do something like that. Or they maybe even just try to figure it out as a team, because you saw that they were missing those opportunities every time Aram or Lust went in with Aram. But then after that, it was with the Mina. All of a sudden, then they started starting to click, and it started to make sense that, hey, follow me and I will lead you to victory type of situation. And you could see that the INF did end up going that route.
Absolutely. So what are our results for today? We had, unfortunately, a forfeit coming out from Yugen. And that
Yes.
means